So my name is Kimberly Garvin, and I am a writer, and a mom, a blogger, and a friend. And I have a son who is now 16, but he was born with a speech impediment. He is a person who stutters. And Sadiq has stuttered for as long as he could speak. And I've watched him grow into this amazing young man over time. You know, from when he was born, he never really spoke. And I think it had a lot to do with the fact that he didn't have to, right? Because his sister and I kind of knew what he wanted to say. And then he went to speech therapy in school, and the speech therapist was, you know, focusing a lot on fluency. And she felt that if Sadiq was fluent in his speech, that he would be that much more confident, and he would articulate, you know, his thoughts much better, and he would just grow into this, I don't know, person. Well, she found a camp for us, Camp Say, which is now, or Camp Our Time, right now it's called Camp Say. And her goal was to get Sadiq to be fluent. And so we reached out to this camp, and they didn't have any of the weekly programs. It was in New York City. They only had the summer camp. And so, and the summer camp was in North Carolina, and Sadiq is 8, right? And so, like, what mom is really gonna let their kid, you know, go to North Carolina for 2 weeks, unaccompanied, whatever? But he saw the video on their website, and the first thing he said when he saw the video was, "Hey, you know, he sounds like me," because I believe in his mind he'd never heard anyone else who stuttered. Now, stuttering, if you didn't know, is genetic. And so my uncle stuttered. I was a person, or am a person who stutters. And so it's genetically kind of born, right? And so Sadiq was fortunate enough to get the stuttering gene. And he does stutter like a rock star. And, and that's his hashtag, stutter like a rock star. And so he goes to this camp. And he comes back, and he is the most vibrant, talkative little 8-year-old I think I've ever met. He started a nonprofit organization called Let Me Finish with 3 L's. You can find him on Facebook, and he supports young people who stutter and their families that support them. But more importantly, when he came back in August, he was ready to meet up with his speech therapist. And when he did, he told her, and I would like to believe that he was not stuttering when he said, "I am not coming back to you anymore." Taro, who is the director of Camp Say, taught us that we should dream big and live courageously. And you can call my mom, and she's gonna come and sign me out of speech. This was at 8. And so I did, because what else are you supposed to do as a parent? But support your kid, right? Good, bad, or indifferent. And he was also more vocal, you know, traveling to different schools and sharing his story about being a person who stutters. He committed to traveling to New York every Saturday, right? Like he committed me. You know, he committed on Saturdays to traveling to New York, you know, to be amongst other kids who stuttered, because that was the need that he had. You know, he committed, again, myself, to traveling to the National Stutter Association's convention every summer, because he needed to be around people who stuttered, because ironically enough, it kind of fueled him for the journey that he's been on the last couple of years. And so it was about, I guess, 2014, and we were on our way to one of the workshops in New York, and he leaned over and he said, "Can I write a book?" Initially, well, for what is what I said. Why? Because, I calculate cost and time, in my brain. And he said, because when I was growing up, mind you, he's still a kid. When I was growing up, I didn't have a book that would support me in my speech. And I said, okay. And again, like any mother, I pulled out my phone, and in the notes section, I asked him to tell me the story, and I typed it up. And by the time we got to New York, we had a book framed. And after going back and forth with the title and finding an illustrator, well, When Oliver Speaks was born and published by Indigo River Publishing in August of 2017. And this is the first copy of the book, because the second publication was so, lovingly endorsed by Miss Nikki Giovanni, who said that When Oliver Speaks is a story that indeed needs to be shared. And Sadiq is Oliver. Oliver is Sadiq, and through, I guess, the both of them have brought encouragement and inspiration, patience and love around the topic that no one seems to have time for, which is what we need, people who stutter. And so, that's it, right? Sadiq is also a 30 under 30 in South Jersey and will be nominated, or I guess honored, sometime in November. But he is an amazing kid and isn't here today because he needed some time to be a kid. And so he got a call, I guess an extra. So in 2016, he had a major surgery on his knee. And prior to that, he wanted to be in the NBA. He wanted to play for Duke and could have very easily, and not to say that he still can't, but surgeries kind of do something to us, not just physically, but mentally. And so we're dealing with that together as a family. And so last night he got a call and someone asked him to play, and so he debated, because Dr. Stanley is so close to him and means so much, and disappointing is not something that he ever wants to do, but I assured him that we all would understand if he just felt the need to be a kid. And so that's where he is right now, playing basketball, and probably having a really good time, which is something that he needs. But, I guess I say all of that to say that whatever it is that you want, you can have it. Whatever it is that is your passion or your mission, I just strongly believe that as long as you remain true to it, and you remain true to yourself, all things work together for the good. Thanks. Questions. Hilarious.
I tried. No. So in our conversation, you mentioned, in Whole Affair, you mentioned that patience is something that your son either had experienced or hadn't experienced.
Right.
You maybe one yourself. I was just curious as to what patience looks like. So in my head, I think it's fairly obvious how to be patient with someone who has a stutter, but I'm just curious as to what being patient looks like to you and your son.
So it looks like, Sadiq would say patience looks like maintaining eye contact with a person who stutters. Patience sounds like silence, right? Because you're listening. And patience may look like a nod because you are engaged. I think one of the biggest misconceptions about people who stutter or stuttering in general is that it's primarily about the speech, right? And it goes so much deeper than the speech to the feelings that I have as a person who stutters around my speech. So if we're having a conversation and I'm stuttering or I'm stuck in a block or a repetitive, whatever is happening, and for a quick instance you look at your watch or you look at your phone or you get distracted, it kind of makes us think that, you know, what we have to say isn't as important as whatever it is that you had to do. Because remember, when fluent speakers, there's a natural ebb and flow, right? You can jump in the conversation when you want and jump back out and jump in. We don't have that luxury. Sometimes you just gotta wait, you know, and I've learned that, you know, I've had to wait for Sadiq for as long as I need to wait, to show that, you know, I do respect him and I understand, and that what he does have to say is important. One of the he did a workshop at the National Stutter Association's convention last summer, or this past summer, around Sometimes We Need Tough Love, and it was for parents. And there wasn't a dry eye in the place because he started playing this game. Have you ever? Let's play this game, he says. Have you ever? And I think one of the questions, the have you ever questions that most resonated with me, because I am so guilty, or was so guilty of this, was, have you ever gotten your kids' drive-through order before you reach the machine thingy, right? And everybody raised their hand. And Sadiq proceeded to tell us that when you do that, you teach us that avoidance is okay. You teach us that our stutter is not important. And you fail to teach them on the other side an opportunity and patience. And so now, when we go through the drive-thru, everybody waits. And I don't get the order before. And it makes them feel normal. Because at the end of the day, like, they don't, you know, he just wants to be accepted like everybody else, you know? And so that's what it is. And I would bet that all of the people, the parents that were in that room and heard that, are now making every drive-through window person wait. Like, everybody's just waiting. Everybody's just waiting. But, you know, you think about, like, you do it because it's a time saver. You know, I'm just going to get this order real quick, and then, but it's not about the time as much as it is, right? And so, yeah, we all wait. And that's one of his hashtags too. Hashtag be patient and wait for it. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.